Hi, this is Dr. Love, your expert on everything love, dating, and relationships. Recently, the doctor just got back from a Carnival cruise vacation. The cruise director made a reference to the ship as a floating hotel. Well, that got my mind going. Just how practical is it for an average single man aged 25 to 50 to get laid during his cruise vacation? This is a doable task, but it requires a lot of planning beforehand and a lot of sacrifices to achieve that goal. Let's look at what exactly a cruise vacation is. Simply put, a cruise vacation is when a bunch of people get on a cruise ship for a set number of days and nights, and then you sail to certain destinations. You are surrounded by people on vacation mode and in the partying mood, so this should be very easy, right? Well, it is for women. Just like on land, just about any woman can hook anytime she wants on a cruise ship. Women do not need any help in this department. All a woman has to do is smile and engage in light conversation with any man she deems worthy. It is not that easy for the fellas. Before we learn why that is, let's look at the typical demographics for cruisers. Recent CLIA Cruise Lines International Association data and industry summaries show average age globally, around 46 to 47 years old. Under 40, about 36% of cruisers are now under 40. 65 plus, roughly 17 to 30%, depending on region and itinerary, still present but no longer the majority. So on a typical mainstream ship, Carnival, Royal Caribbean, Norwegian, MSC, etc., you'll see 20s to 30s, young couples, friend groups, party crowd on shorter fun sailings. 40s to 50s, big chunk of the average cruiser, parents, professionals. 60s plus, retired travelers, especially on longer or pricier itineraries. Although age is important, it is more important to understand the length of the cruise, the time of the year you cruise, and the destination of the cruise line will make the really deciding factor of who will likely be on your ship age-wise. For example, I do not recommend booking a 7 or 8 day cruise to Alaska as your time to test the hookup waters, though it is possible. That is mostly because of the groups of people traveling. Expect mostly groups of family members, parents, kids, teens, solo travelers, single travelers, and friend groups of travelers. Cruises that are shorter itineraries and go places like Mexico and the Caribbean have a tendency to be cheaper and have the name of booze cruises. These cruises usually have younger travelers and people looking to drink, dance, and have a good time. This is probably the best cruise to get lucky on. However, you have to be locked in as you only have 1 or 2 days to establish a lead before time runs out. Also, keep in mind that your odds are better on Carnival Virgin Voyages or Royal Caribbean instead of cruise lines like Celebrity or Princess. The typical breakdown on a mainstream Carnival sailing: couples, big chunk of the ship, married, long-term, dating. Families with kids, very heavy on Carnival, they carry hundreds of thousands of children per year, more than any other cruise line. Friend groups, noticeable percentage. Girls' trips, guys' trips, birthday cruise, etc. Solo travelers, smaller slice but growing. CLIA says about 12% of all cruise travelers sail solo now. For your purposes, you'll mostly be surrounded by couples and families, with a good number of friend groups and a smaller but real solo crowd. So before you even step foot on the ship, you want to pick the perfect cruise for this experiment. Let's choose a Carnival cruise from Long Beach into Mexico. We will also choose a 7-day itinerary over a 4-day. Okay, the cruise is booked, but before we go, we need to do a couple of more things. Find your cruise group on Facebook and join it. Post a photo and make general comments about yourself. Remember to give clues that you are a solo single cruiser and that you are really excited about the bars, the nightclub, and all the other late-night venues. However, be careful. You do not want to come across as a creep or 30. Pay attention to who commends and likes your posts and photos. Look at their Facebook profile to see if they are single or married. If nothing is listed, assume they will be single for the cruise. If you can engage in some back-and-forth light convo on the group page with someone who has potential, be bold and send an FB message. Again, do not be a creep. You really must feel it out. The closer a bond you find with someone before the cruise starts, the better your odds of succeeding. Carnival also has dedicated singles groups, but they seem rather fake to me, so I would avoid them. Also, the people there will likely not be on your ship at the same time, so it is usually a waste of time. Let's also discuss the confusion between single cruisers and solo cruisers. Although it is very simple, there are a lot of women who do not understand this or pretend not to understand this. A cruiser who is a solo cruiser simply means they are traveling alone. However, it may not mean they are single. For example, a woman could be married and sailing solo with her female bestie. Or she could simply be sailing solo but sharing a cabin with another solo cruiser to split the costs, as cruise lines often price their rooms based on double occupancy rates. A single cruiser is also a person sailing alone. However, it should be implied that she or he is not in a relationship. However, a lot of women join single groups because they cannot tell the difference between single and solo cruisers. Now, it's time to talk about the sacrifices. The first is the cabin cost. If you really want to get lucky on a cruise, you must sail alone. No friends, no kids, no distractions. It is critical that your cabin is always available if the moment arrives. Always assume that her cabin is occupied with someone, a friend, a kid, a husband, or another solo cruiser. This means you will be paying a higher rate. Also, I recommend paying for at least a balcony. It is easier to have a reason to come back to your room. If she is in her interior room, she may want to check out the sunset view from your balcony. However, you must know that even with this, your odds are still much lower than you think, and you must be prepared to be alone in a room for X number of days for that rate. Okay, it's cruise day, and you were not successful with the Facebook group. No problem, it's time for another sacrifice. Get the drink package. You will be spending a lot of time socializing at the bars, and the drinks are usually around $15 to $16 each. So get the drink package. This adds another $600 to $800 to your cruise expense. Another sacrifice is that you are going to have to prioritize things like the shows and even the excursions and really focus on social meeting opportunities. Make sure to be placed at a solo table or a shared table for dinner. On the first day, you want to go to the sail-away party, dance and have a good time, but also try to toss out your bait. However, keep in mind that this area will be flooded with kids and families, so it is very unlikely a woman will leave her group and interact with you during this event. During the evening, go to dinner and try to feel out the people at your table. Then start going to the bars. I recommend the Atrium or Lobby Bar and the Alchemy Bar on Carnival ships. Karaoke is not a good place to meet new people at this time, as this area is again flooded with groups and families. You literally need to be moving around the ship, talking to as many people as you can. Do not wait for the nightclub. Most of the women in there are in groups and will not leave that group or a bunch of married women who are pretending to be single while their husbands are in the casino. Unfortunately, the mixers are horrible. Most people there are not even there for the mixer, but still check them out. Trivia games is again another horrible place to meet someone. Another horrible place to meet someone is inside the casino. Sit at the bar, smile, and talk to every woman that comes up next to you to order a drink. Keep the conversation light and fun. If she sits down and drinks with you, that is a good sign. If she finishes her conversation and continues small talk while ordering more drinks, this is your time to see if she is traveling solo or single and let her know that you are a single cruiser. Normally, I would say to get her number and walk away. Not on a cruise ship, ask her out immediately. To dinner, a late-night comedy show, to watch a music production show, do karaoke, mini-golf, anything. Try to take her out and date her while you are on the ship. I would avoid the nightclub if possible. If things are going well, ask her to join you for maybe breakfast, or even better, do an excursion together in port. If you need an easy way to make things more physical, go to the Serenity deck. Spend some time inside the hot tube. Keep the conversation light but be playful and touchier. Keep the drinks coming if you both can make responsible decisions. Have a reason to go back to your room. It could be Uno cards. It could be your balcony view. Could be to watch a movie. You should be escalating things very quickly to your room. You have to move quick because the cruise is only so many days. Besides, she will likely be with friends or family and will not be able to devote large amounts of time to you. As far as daily communication, make sure to get her Facebook or Instagram. It is very easy to communicate on a cruise ship using Messenger in these apps. You will not be able to send text messages. Another option is to use the paid chat feature to communicate. WhatsApp is also another means of communication. Another expensive thing you will need to pay for is your internet package, which is usually about $300 or more. This is my quick guide. Please note that even if you follow each recommendation, the odds are not in your favor. The ship is not full of 60-plus-year-old ladies thirsty for 35 to 40-year-old men. Yes, there are some, but it is not what you think. Always be aware of swingers or the upside pineapple community. It is very important to make sure she is consented and never too drunk. The reality is that your odds of getting lucky on a cruise are no higher than if you were on land. Low odds and elevated expense and loneliness is not a win situation in my opinion. I highly recommend meeting someone prior to the cruise and then taking the cruise vacation together. That way, you truly get to enjoy your vacation and you have plenty of time for the hanky-panky. This is Dr. Love. If you like what you heard, please like, share and subscribe. And feel free to let the doctor know any pointers he left out in the comments section below. This is Dr. Love. Until our next appointment, see ya!